Okay, I will share the slide. Okay. Hope you see the slide. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So today we are going to take the topic Java networking. Okay. So networking for the client server communication and the networking programming in the Java programming we are using to do the networking concept. How the server programming or client programming, but what is the feature we are used inside the Java to operate networking concept. Okay. So here the Java networking is the concept to connect client and server machines. For supporting the networking concept, Java socket programming is the method or feature or facility which Java used to connect between client and server or to implementing the networking concept. So advantages of Java networking is that we can share the resources or we can centralize the software management. For Java.net, for supporting Java networking, Java.net package which will support entire Java networking feature. For this, there are two types of networking features are available. One is transmission control protocol, then UDP or user datagram protocol. TCP is a connection oriented protocol and UDP is a connectionless protocol, which means that in TCP there are or to transfer the messages we need to build a connection between the sender and the receiver before we need to transmit the data or transfer the data. In the case of UDP, we need not maintain the connection or we need not maintain or implement the initial connection between sender and receiver or client or server. It will transfer the data whether they are not receiving any acknowledging information. So in Java networking terminology, these are the main content in networking concept of theory. We need to address these type of contents or features. One is IP address. IP address means in the network, any one of the system, we are individually or uniquely identified by its own individual IP address. Okay. Then protocol, it means that whatever the protocol which we are used to transfer the data, for file transfer protocol, for file transferring, for web accessing or to web browsing, we need to use the protocol like HTTP or HTTPS. Then TCP is the transmission or data transmission connection oriented protocol, or SMTP or SNMP is the network management protocol, or to mail transfer protocol will be there. So these type of protocols it's on, or it depends on whatever the methodology or whatever the information we need to transfer between client and server or different systems in a network. This type of protocols is new to or used to implement that particular communication. Then port number, it means to identify the process or whatever, or in a network, a system that should be identified by its own IP address. Inside that particular system, whatever processes that running or whatever the applications which are running, that application that will be identified by using port number. Okay. In MAC address means each network, it contains its own network interface controller. So in a network, there are a lot of NIC will be there, but inside an NIC, it contain a unique MAC address. Okay, media access control address. Then the protocols, these are two types of protocols which are used to maintain the connection between different systems inside the network, connection oriented or connection less protocol. Then socket is the endpoint between two-way communication. It is or to provide some security before transferring or receiving any messages in front of the or in front of the center, it contains some socket program, or in front of the receiver, it contains a socket layer to protect the receiver or center data. Okay, so after verification inside the socket only, the data will enter into the receiver or into the sender side. This is the concept called socket. For providing the transmission or providing the communication between the systems in Java, socket programming is need to implement the networking concept. So java.net is the package which support entire Java networking features, and it contain two levels of application program interfaces or APIs. That means low level API means it deals with the abstraction or addresses of networking identifiers or sockets, and this type of network interfaces that will be manipulated or managed by the low level APIs. And high level API, that means it will be handled at the URL, or what will be the URL address, and that is need to connect with which resource locator is need to make connection between what are the different resources we need to connect it, that will be maintained by high level APIs. So inside the java.net package, there are many classes that are used to implementing network inside Java. Okay, so these are the different types of Java classes that support Java networking. So here, one package means it is a set of or combination or collection of classes together, it will be called package. Okay, so inside java.net, this is the package which we are used to implement networking. These are the different classes which we are used to or include inside the java.net package. Authenticator, cache request, cache response, or content handler, cookie handler, datagram packet, or interface address, or inet address, IDN, HTTP URL connection, or net permission, proxy, socket permission. So these are the different types of classes which includes inside the java.net package. Whatever mode of networking application we need to implement, we can use the facility of this type of or these classes from these classes. Okay, so these are the list of interfaces available inside java.net package. Content handle factory or cookie policy, cookie store, datagram socket, implementation factory, file name mapping, socket options. So these are the protocol families. These are the interfaces available. That means that java.net, which contains some classes, these classes which can implement some of the interfaces. These are the set of the interfaces which will include java.net package. So initially we need to understood that Java has certain programming features. Just a minute. One hold tick I want to give. Okay. Okay, come. Okay, so in Java programming or Java networking concept, my mic is unmuted. I hope so. Is it? Yes, yes. So Java networking is the concept which we are used to implement the networking option inside the Java, which we are used .NET packages for the for implementing networking concept in Java program. Java.NET is the package we are using. So socket programming is the concept or which is the feature or highlighting facility which we are used to communicate between different systems different applications running over different or client software, client system, or otherwise the server system. Okay, so here the socket programming or Java socket program, it contain server socket program is there or the client socket program is there, and here we need to construct whatever the protocol which we are used to implement the connection. One is connection oriented socket programming is there, otherwise connection less socket programming is there. So connection oriented socket programming, it will be used the classes like socket and server socket classes which we support to connection oriented socket programming. Datagram socket and datagram packet, these are the two classes which we used to implement the connectionless socket programming. So inside the client socket programming, we need to know the IP address of the server and also the port number. Then only a client system we can communicate with the server system or server socket. Okay. So the method of the communication, that means when an application or a client send a message to a server, server reads the certain messages and print it. Okay, so for developing this type of application, there are two classes we are using. One is socket and a server socket. So socket is the main class which is used to communicate client and server. Okay, so that means one client program which need to communicate with the server, and server reads the message and reply to the client, which we handled by using two sets of classes. One is socket and a server socket class. Is it? So server socket class, it used at the server side, and whatever the message sent from the or the server responded, that message will be accepted through the or that will be accepted by method of server socket method. Okay, then after the successful connection between the client, it returns the socket object to the object at the server side, and this will be communicated with the client socket side. Okay, so here Java socket programming or socket programming is the feature or facility which is used to communicate between different systems in a networking by running Java runtime environment. Okay, so here this is the some of the socket APIs or application programming interface. What will be happened inside the client and server? So server contains some of the socket, then it contain or it will be listen for some message, or it will listen to when a client that will connection request that will be sent from the client, and it will be accepted by the server, then only the connection it will be implemented. After connection establishing establishment, the message that will be written by the client, that will be read by the server, and again the server that will be written some messages at, and it will be sent to the client side. The client will be read the message. After the data transferring or the communication, the thread or client program will be closed, and after reaching the end of file, the server program will be closed. Okay, this is the application programming interface of the corresponding socket programming of the Java. Then socket class, it is the class which is used to support the communication between two different machines, and it contain different methods: get input stream, get output stream, and the close is the method which used to implement a connection, or when a input that is read by the or socket programming or socket class, it will be get input stream. That input that will be displayed on the console or the client side, that will be get output stream, and after the communication, the client socket or the server socket, that will be closed by using close method. Okay, then server socket class, and under the socket class, these are the methods, or these are the methods we generally implemented inside the server socket class. It contain accept for connection accepting from the client, and it will be a synchronization process. Then after then maintain the communication between client and server. After communicating, the server will close, which using the method close method. Then this is the Java socket programming example. We need to create one server. So for creating the server, we need to create one server socket class. Okay. Here we are using the port number 666. 4 6 are there. This is the port number which we need to identify a particular application inside the client and server. So then this port number only we need to accept the connection. Just a minute. Okay, so here the port number we are using 6666. These are the port number which we need to implement or making connection with the client and server. So server socket is the class which we the or under this two lines of code is the server socket SS. That means that SS is the object which we used to create with the class server socket. This is the server socket class to implement the server program. Okay. Then new server socket, the port number which we are used to make connection. So 66 is the port number. This is the method of giving socket programming or server socket class which we need to insert. Then socket S, socket class, which is used to connect the or accept the connection from the client request. So socket, which is the class when object is declared, S is the object. By using this socket class object, we need to accept. So server socket object SS there, SS dot accept means it will establish connection between client and server, and it will wait for one message from the client. Okay. So creating the client, we need to use one socket class. Socket S is the object equal to new socket, which is the server part. Localhost means server system is same system as the client. The same system which we are used as the client and server. That's why we built localhost inside the server name. Then the port number 6666. This is the server already created the port number which we need to connect to make connection between client and server. So the same server inside the same server system, we need to make a connection from the client side. So for that, we create one object for the socket class, and inside that object, we initialize the server system with the port number. So then only the client will request a connection to the server socket. Then the server that will be accept that connection by using the socket class object. Okay. So here this is one program or example program for the my server.java. This is my client.java. So here we need to create one program window or two program window for one for the server and one for the client. What will happen inside, I will show you. Okay, I will share another screen. This is one window. Hope you see that. Then another window, another program or online compiler I need to take. This is for client program. Okay. So hope you find first program. So here we need to uh, write the program of server program. Okay, so here we need to copy the server code and just insert it inside this. Here this is the server program. Okay, then another online Java compiler, it contains the client program. So here we are using the client program. It is saved to my client.java. This will be saved and it will copy to the another online compiler. Here I copied it. So first the server program start to initiate with the port number. Okay, so here the server program is just started. Then with the client program, we need to make connection. Okay, so here the client from by using socket S equal to new socket localhost 666. That means that we need to enter the connection between 666 that is already we run inside the server program. Is it? Here the data output stream, that means from the client, after making connection, the server will accept the connection from the client and also it listen to some messages. Is it? So here dout.write UTF hi welcome, that is the message we wrote here. Is it? That message that will be output stream, it will be displayed in the server side. So another compiler for the server program, the message equal to hi welcome, it will be displayed. Okay, so initially the server socket class, which is used to create the server side programming or socket programming, by using that object we need to create a port number. So we need to create this port is port number or application which we need to maintain the connection between client and server. So here we started the connection, and then the client program after running, the client that is requested a connection to the server by using this class object, socket class object, new socket localhost, which port number, the same port number of this server which we are given here. Okay, so for that particular application we need to create a connection. After creating the connection from the client side, we need to create some message. That message inbuilt a message, that message that should be reached in the client server side. Okay, so here I need to hello world, I again changed the message, then I run the client side program, the message that is, okay, I need to run it again. Okay, server it is started to running and it is listened to one message, then the client it will be started. So here the message or the connection request that is sent to the server side, and in the server side that message it will be reached. Hello world is the message that is sent from the client side, that it will be reached inside the server side. Okay, so this is the client and server connection oriented data transfer between client and server. So here another program or another method that is used to read write both side, actually two-way communication or a connection oriented mechanism which we are going to implement. That is, from one server program will be there, one client program is there, then inside the client we need to listen the class. So in the server side we need, or client side we need to type anything, that message is sent to server side, the server will respond to that message, that will be again sent to the client side. These are the both way communication or two-way communication between client and server. So by using Java socket programming we can implement this read write both sides. So here we need to copy this code and paste it on the compiler. One server program compiler is there, here we need to type it. So this is the server program. Okay, here then we need to write another program. This is the client code, another compiler, open another online compiler, and code will be pasted. Okay, here inside the server program compiler, what will be the code? Server socket that need to create. Is it? The connection need to establish or connection need to create initially by the server side by using the server socket object. Then by using that object, it created a port number or implemented or established the port number 333. This is the port number. So after this running, the client side it will be initiated the connection request with the same port number by using the socket class object. Okay, so socket is equal to new socket localhost. That means that same server, same system includes server and the client programs. Okay, so localhost 333 is the same port number. The connection request, it will be reached to the server side, server that will be accepted. The code is ss.accept. The connection will be implemented. Then inside the server side, what is given the input that will be maintained by the data input stream classes. That input that will be centered at the client side, and it will be read and it will be printed inside the client side only. That, and again from the client side it will send another message that will be read and print by using data output stream class. Okay, so here we need to run this initially the server program that is running, then inside the client program we need to run, so it is need to maintain the connection or to implement the connection between the same port with the server. Okay, so here I sent some message, so this message hi, I wrote it here, then it read by the server side, client says hi. This is the server program. Okay, whatever the input which we given hello, that is the message, I wrote it server side, data input stream d in is the object that will read hello, and it will be sent to the client side, and after entering inside the client side, server says hello. Okay, so here, okay, the message client said, name is the message that the client said to the server. Then inside the server, we read the message, client says name. Okay, I wrote one message, it will be sent to the client side. So server says this is the name. This is the concept called whatever the input or after the connection establishment or connection implementation, we can set the messages by using data input stream class and data output stream class to the server side or the client side. By using this socket classes or server socket class or socket class, we can use to connect implement or to make the networking implementation inside the server program as well as in the client program. Okay, so this is the concept called Java networking. The overview is Java networking that will be supported by java.net package. Inside that package, we can have so many classes and interfaces. Mainly, we need to make a connection between the client and server. We need to implement the connection from the server side by using the class server socket class. So, which port number that is initiated by the server socket class. After server socket class, the client side, we need to create one object for the socket class, the same port number which need to request. After getting the request from the client, the server that is read or accept the request by using object server socket object. By accepting only, the connection it will be implemented. After this establishment of connection only, the data will be sending or receiving by using different classes, data input stream class or data output stream class. Buffered reader is another class that will be stored inside that buffered reader. We can, whatever the input which we given, that input that will be stored inside the buffered reader, and one by one character that will be read and sent to the client side. And again from the client side, this feature again performed. One buffered reader class is there. Inside that, whatever the data that will be read inside that, and it will be stored and sent to the server side. So this is the Java networking concept. Okay, hope you understood. So I just share another screen. Okay, is this visible? Okay, this is the QR code which we are. Please do this. This is the QR code for a quiz. Please all do this. Okay. Hope you see this QR code. Please unmute and say, is this QR code is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All of you do this. Okay. After doing this quiz, you can wind up. Okay.
മാം
Oh,
മാം ഞാനും ലെനിനും കൂടെ മറ്റേ എക്സാം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. എക്സാം എഴുതാൻ വേണ്ടിട്ട് പോവായിരുന്നേ.
3:30 തുടങ്ങും അല്ലേ? ഓക്കേടാ,
ആ
ഫൈൻ. ഓക്കെ,
പൊക്കോട്ടെ.
യു ക്യാൻ വൈൻഡ് അപ്പ്. ഓക്കെ,
ഓക്കെ മാം. ഓക്കെ
ഒന്ന് സ്കാൻ ചെയ്തിട്ട് പൊക്കോണേ.
ഓക്കെ.
ഞാനുണ്ട്.
മാം എനിക്കും എക്സാം ഉണ്ട് ഹെൻറി സാർ.
ഓക്കേടാ, if you have the exam you can wind up. You just scan the QR code, then only after the exam you can do the quiz. Okay.
ഓക്കെ മാം.
Okay.